everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how to wow decision makers with better product metrics and focus the business. I'm Stephanie Tanzar, Senior Director of Product Management at Pendo. Today's agenda, we're going to be talking a little bit about lagging and leading indicators. Then we're going to move into a definition of Product Engagement Score, or PES, and how to use it. And then thirdly, we'll talk about a customer use case and we'll focus in on IHS Markit. So let's get started. Baby tigers are really cute, aren't they? Who wouldn't want to take one of these home and feed it with maybe a little milk, cuddle with it, play with it? How fun would that be? In fact, a whole industry was created around tourists wanting to interact with baby tiger cubs. Have you ever seen that show on Netflix, Joe Exotic? But sure, they're really cute right now. They have little tiny teeth and they nip at you and they bat their little paws and their meows are really quiet. So you take one home. I could raise this cub. I have what it takes. Over time, things start to change a little bit. Their meows get louder. Their bites start to hurt just a little bit. The claws get a little sharper and it becomes harder to cut them. You try to feed that tiger a little milk, but all he wants is meat. But he's still really cute, and you've gotten to know this little cub, so you keep going. Time passes again, and all of a sudden, your baby cub is a full-blown tiger. Yeah, he's dangerous. You accidentally leave meat on the counter, and next thing you know, your kitchen is destroyed. You fear for your own safety. And so now, hopefully, you can get your tiger cub to a rescue before you are in any real danger. So first things first, don't raise tiger cubs. It's a horrible idea. Just don't do it. And secondly, pay attention to the leading indicators that the tiger cub could grow up to be dangerous before it's too late. But what do tiger cubs have to do with metrics? Because this talk is about metrics, and in particular, those metrics that you see in board meetings, board presentations, executive conversations. But like the tiger example, metrics also come in two forms, leading and lagging indicators. I'm sure those metrics in orange look familiar to you. These are the metrics that we most often see in board meetings and business conversations. These are the business and financial metrics that measure how the business is performing. Revenue, ARR, NRR, customer acquisition cost, or CAC, conversion rates, these mostly three-letter acronyms that can give you a sense of how your business is doing overall. But if all you're doing is measuring business metrics and business outcomes, you're missing some key valuable information. It's really too late to take action if all you have is these numbers and you start to see them go wrong. What if you miss a quarter? What do you do at that point? You can make some changes. You can ensure your pipeline is maybe a little stronger. You can pay a little bit more on marketing and hopefully get more people into the door, into the funnel. But it could be a few quarters before you're actually able to course correct. Because these metrics are lagging indicators. They're a way to measure overall output. You don't really have an opportunity to make changes if you see them starting to maybe dip downward. But of course, hopefully for those that are listening to this call, product folks, executives, we always want to get ahead of things like customer churn or loss in revenue. It's really important that we do so. We want to know if and when our output, it might be declining. The metrics on the right-hand side do exactly this. They're leading indicators of product success. When product usage is decreasing, this is a warning sign for potential customer churn or possibly maybe a low customer net promoter score, overall negative sentiment. So like that tiger example, these leading indicators can help warn us when that cub is maybe a little too dangerous for comfort. We need to get that cub to a rescue before it's too late. But of course, it can be incredibly important to measure both the right hand and the left side of this slide. Only with a combination of business financial metrics and product usage metrics can you effectively course correct to build a successful product that leads to a thriving business. You start to see retention numbers dipping or stickiness numbers dipping. How do you take action on that? How do you ensure that you have those customer conversations, maybe with your customer success team, to ensure that we understand exactly why their usage is dropping and see if there's any way we can get ahead of it and prevent it? But of course, with so many product usage metrics to choose from, what makes sense, especially when you are talking at the exec level? You're talking with your overall business leaders. And that's where product engagement score comes in, or another 3-letter acronym, PES. Amongst all the product metrics available in the world, if you bring only one product metric in, it should be product engagement score. Why? Because it is a single quantitative and proactive metric that measures overall product engagement by combining adoption, stickiness, and growth, which are 3 composite metrics that you should be measuring already to understand overall product health. Adoption is defined as how much of your user base is using your product effectively. Are they discovering those key moments, those key events, and are they using them? Stickiness is how much of your user base is high frequency, how much of your user base comes into the product on a regular basis. And growth looks at whether or not your product is experiencing strong, regular growth and virality. Are more people coming in that are dropping? If not, that's a sign that you should probably do something about it. You should take action and move forward. These 3 measures together can give you a healthy sense of whether or not your product is succeeding with your customer base. So let's go deeper on each of these pillars. Adoption is a user activation metric that measures overall usage for a product's specific key features or aha moments. Adoption, we take a look at the average number of these key features that are used by your user base within a given time period. And the really important thing for you as a business to focus on is, do you know what those key features are? Do you know what your product's aha moments are? Do you know what moment your customers come in and discover, oh wow, there's value in this product, I want to keep using that. It's really important to get aligned as a business on what those moments are so that you can ensure that you're tracking adoption in the right way. And I have a slide later where I can cover off on exactly how you can think about having this conversation, because I do think it is probably one of the most important discussions that you can have. Stickiness measures how many users are returning to your product on a regular basis. You don't want one-time users. You don't want users coming in, trying it out, and never returning. It's never going to create that growth and virality that you really need, that you're looking for. You want to make sure that your product is becoming a part of their daily professional lives. And so there are really 3 different ways to measure stickiness. All 3-letter acronyms, of course. DAO WOW, which looks at, of the users that are using your product on a weekly basis, how many of them are coming back on a daily basis. We have DAO MAO, which is of the users that are coming to your product on a monthly basis, what percentage of them are coming back daily. And MAO WOW, of the users using them on a monthly basis, what percentage of your users are coming back on a weekly basis. And I think the key here in terms of aligning around measurement is what is important to your business. Are you a B2B and maybe you care more about weekly or monthly usage, or are you more B2C and looking at daily active users? Again, a conversation to align with your stakeholders, not something that you should decide all by yourself. So have that conversation, make sure that you're aligned around how you measure stickiness overall. Now, growth is the 3rd metric here, and growth uses a standard metric we call quick ratio to track the number of users who join, recover, and drop over time. And this is the algorithm for quick ratio. Feel free to take a screenshot here. And it really looks at, of the users that are coming back in, how does that compare to users that are dropping over time, to give you a sense between 0 and 100, how your growth rate looks overall. Is it healthy? Is it stagnating? Is it decreasing? So that you can then make some changes to your business as needed. With product engagement score, you can make data-driven decisions that improve your product and your business. PES can help you understand performance, where to invest, where to sunset, where to focus. And so with this score, you can start to ask, hey, I see adoption is low. Can I dig in? Can I understand if there's one of my key features that are not being discovered? Maybe I change my product and maybe I make sure that that feature is a little bit more visible in its overall workflow. Maybe I introduce an in-app guide in order to understand and help customers understand that this feature exists. My goal here is to really reduce that time to value so that I see those adoption numbers going up overall. Perhaps I see stickiness is low. Might be time to finally make that case to invest in user experience and quality. This is one of the hardest things in the world, is to convince your exec team that you got to stop the feature development and just focus on user experience. But seeing that users are not coming back to your product on a regular basis is a key indication that there's something in your workflow that's just broken. Or maybe you could reach out to a customer-facing team and find out what's happening in a specific account that might be lagging behind. Maybe there's something specifically at that account, that really important key account, that's causing them to not use the product as often as you'd want. That customer team can come out there and give you more data and more information about how to ensure that you have a very sticky product at these customers. And thirdly, maybe you see your growth is stagnating and declining, or stagnating or declining. At this point, it might be time to invest in more customers coming in on a regular basis, or better onboarding to ensure that users are converting from free to paid. Or it could be time to invest in more innovation across your customer base, or across your product portfolio, so that you can ensure that you're not dependent on this one single product before that might have stagnating growth. There's a lot of value in looking at each of these pillars within product engagement score and determining how do you make these numbers better, or how do you start to shift your strategy to ensure that you're focusing on overall engagement of your product. So I want to take a moment to talk through how to define or think about your aha moments or key features. And this is a big conversation. I highly recommend getting kind of a tiger team together across product, across engineering, across product marketing, sales, customer success, so that you all can come together and look at this data effectively. So first step is really collecting the data, collecting the information. I highly recommend getting retention and adoption numbers for this first piece, finding out for every single feature within your product, what do retention numbers look like? If a user uses this, what are the chances that they will retain over time? You can get that same information, that same number for adoption. What percentage of your user base is using this? Is this a very highly active, adopted feature, or is it something that may be used a little less frequently? The second piece of data is really the data that lives in your gut. The data that over the course of hundreds and hundreds of customer conversations, you have learned are the key parts of your overall user journey and workflow. What are those features that you believe are important to ensure that customers understand the success of your product? And then combine those two lists. Bring in the data, bring in that gut feel, and look for similarities and have discussions about how do we whittle down this list of maybe 40 plus features into the key set, 6 to 10 features that are critically important for your organization. Now, this conversation can take days. I mean, maybe not full days, but definitely hours across multiple days to collect the data, to have the discussion, to align around that. But I do think that if you do one set of conversations this next year, it's this one. Really align on what are those aha moments, those key events, key features within your application to ensure that you are driving adoption in the right way. Okay, so let's move to a little bit of a customer story. Ellie O'Connor is the director of UX for IHS Markit, and she's responsible for conducting deep product analysis and communicating customer feedback to ensure that the product management team is using data to inform future product direction. Really important job. We should all be using data regularly to inform our product direction. So she brings all that data together and then she provides that to her product teams. Ellie's team uses product engagement score now, but before they had PES, they would come up with a long list of different metrics and try to patch them together to paint some sort of picture of overall product health. They would have to cobble together a whole slew of metrics like stickiness, feature usage, as well as others on that monthly and quarterly basis and package it all together and then send it to the product teams. So with product engagement score now, they have a single metric that ties together neatly and gives a single number on a regular rolling basis so that every single team can come together and have a consistent way of measuring and a consistent way a framework to really have a discussion about how they're thinking about their overall product roadmap and strategy. It's really easy to measure, and the hardest part is, of course, determining which features make up that adoption metric. So when they had to have this conversation, they asked themselves, what are those key workflows that indicate success in our product? What is the customer trying to achieve in the product? And that exercise really allowed that team to effectively align on those key workflows and those aha moments within their product. So Product Engagement Score has provided this team a consistent way to measure health across every single product across their portfolio. And now they're able to take action if they see that those adoption rates are maybe a little lower than they would expect. And what's more is that Product Engagement Score is a reliable predictive indicator of overall customer churn. So our very own data science team took a look at our numbers, took a look at the Product Engagement Score for our customers and using our own data. And they first initially discovered that PES is highly correlated with customer expansions, flat renewals, and churn rate. Then they dug a little bit deeper and they found that those that had scores lower than 30 were about 2.5 times more likely to churn. And those with scores between 30 and 60 were about 1.9 times more likely to churn than those that had a PES rate of over 60. And what this allowed us to do with this data is that we can now start to predict which users and accounts might be at risk, might be more likely to churn. And then our customer teams can go out, have those conversations, talk to them about how they can increase adoption over time, maybe get product on the line, and we have a better overall sense of overall kind of customer health. Hopefully you can do this too if you start to adopt Product Engagement Score as your metric. I want to leave you with this. Leading indicators are extremely important to both measure and to understand. If you've raised a tiger to date, if you have a tiger in your hands, go ahead and donate that tiger to the rescue now before he becomes a little bit too much to handle and it becomes a dangerous situation. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this talk.